Yeshua ben Yusuf. Would you say this with me? Yeshua ben Yusuf. Yeshua ben Yusuf. And it means Jesus, son of Joseph. Does it have a different energy when you say that name, speak that name in Aramaic? Yeshua. 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 He was born into poverty in an insignificant town on the far edges of the Roman Empire. He grew up to be a carpenter and an itinerant teacher. Wandered about without a home. And yet somehow, this man, born in these simple circumstances, on the very edge of civilization, became for much of the Western world its spiritual cornerstone. There's got to be some good reason we're still talking about this man today. I believe many of us share a very understandable tendency. And the tendency is this: it's to ask simple questions, because we really do want to know. That's what one of the things I've come to understand as I've aged, lived over time, is that most people really do want to understand. They want to understand life. They want to understand themselves. It's very common. And when we don't understand something, we start with simple questions. We don't know where else to start, so it's okay. When we ask questions like this, well, what do Jews believe? What do Muslims believe? What do Christians believe? As if there is some set, pat series of answers to those questions. When there aren't. There aren't. If there were, we wouldn't have how many denominations in Christianity? And Buddhism? Do you know how many multiple schools of Buddhism there are? You get to Zen, it's off the charts. Uncountable. You see, 2,000 years ago, for many, many Jews, Jesus was the historical fulfillment of Judaism. They had been waiting for thousands of years for a Messiah, for a messenger from God. And so for many Jews, here was the answer. The Messiah had arrived. While for many other Jews, not so much. You see, Jesus didn't fit their image of the Messiah. Their Messiah was going to be a military figure. A figure that would liberate their bodies as well as their souls. And Jesus was not that. Jesus also satisfied many of the requirements of the mystery religions, the mystery schools. At that point in time, mystery schools were abundant. It wasn't all Jews and atheists, was it? That wasn't the world. It didn't look that way. The mystery schools had many, many gods. And they were talked about for thousands of years. before recorded time. You see, if you and I had been alive a couple thousand years ago, it's likely that we would have been doing mystery rites. We would have been members of one of the mystery religions. And what did they do? They went through rites of deep study of symbolism. They conducted psycho-spiritual rituals to purify themselves and to cleanse themselves, maybe even meditation. And they also participated in a physical reenactment, a physical ritual in which the member of the mystery school would symbolically connect with one of their gods and reenact that god's trials and struggles and death. Because in their stories, some of their gods did die. But then the ritual that maybe you would have been participating in, it continues. Because the ritual goes on, and you and your God resurrect. You resurrect. You reform yourself in a new and higher form with deeper sense of meaning. That was part of mystery rites. We wouldn't do anything like that today. But we are much more sophisticated than that, aren't we? I'm not sensing uniform agreement. And that's okay. Because if you have ever participated in a Jewish Seder or taken communion, that is exactly what you have done. Exactly what you have done. There are common elements in the Seder and communion that speak directly to a journey, to a struggle, to death and to resurrection. What's another name for resurrection? Freedom. Freedom. The entire Jewish Seder is about the struggle of the Jewish people, about their liberation, about their resurrection as a people, their freedom. Resurrection and freedom, they're the same things. Communion, many of you know the meaning of communion. The struggle, the death, the resurrection that you experience symbolically in your own body. Customs haven't changed that much over the last couple thousand years. I think that's a good thing. I think we need it. I think it serves us. However, there was one problem the mystery religions had. And the problem was this, that all of their many gods, they were all archetypal. They were all mythical. None of their gods was born of woman, walked the earth, ate and drank, and loved and joked. And Jesus, he joked a lot. Once you know how to look for it in the Bible, it's all over the place. He was a funny guy. You see, the problem with the mystery religions was that, and these are the words of Jean Houston. Jean Houston, I will be with her next week. And she said, of the mystery religion gods, they didn't have enough juiciness to keep the attention of a world that was going through so much change. and Jesus was juicy. Just like you were juicy on the advent of your birth. Each one of you was very juicy. Jesus became the very human embodiment of virtually all the qualities that the mystery schools were worshiping. You know, if you had, if you had lived a couple thousand years ago in Jerusalem, and you wandered into any one of the coffee houses, only they wouldn't have been coffee houses, they would have been wine houses. I would have been very happy. I know a few of you would be. So you would have wandered into one of the wine houses, and this is what you would likely have heard if you stayed there more than 5 minutes. Hey, Simon, did you hear about the Messiah up in Caesarea? No, that's not the Messiah. Now, the real Messiah, I heard, is up in Samaria. That's the real Messiah. You see, the Messiahs were all over the place. The world of that time was full of myth and mystery and messiahs. It wasn't as if Jesus was the only guy saying, I'm it. So were 15 other guys. Maybe a girl. But here Jesus comes along, and he's flesh and blood. He's flesh and blood. And people can see in him all these mythic qualities that they've been revering. And when someone that you can see and hear and touch and feel shows up, living out those qualities, it kind of blows open the doors between the worlds of the seen and the unseen, at least briefly. At least briefly. See, Jesus was a man who spoke with authority. He healed widely, even on the Sabbath. He loved radically. And he forgave unceasingly. And people noticed.